Photography 1. Review this lecture after reading Chapter 1 Photography and view the grammar sheet on D2L to aid with the note-taking process. Watch the video in the Photography 1 supplemental playlist to enhance the lecture. We'll continue to explore the role of the cinematographer. Choosing a format of film is a very important part of the cinematographer's job. Let's explore different formats of film. Each format of film comes with a list of its pros and cons. Large film formats like IMAX have pros. High resolution, meaning great clarity and detail. Another pro, can be projected on large screens without losing clarity and sharpness. Cons, very expensive. Films with limited budgets can't afford IMAX. Another con, heavy, less portable equipment than other formats of film. Here are two different examples of IMAX cameras. A side-by-side comparison of IMAX and 35mm film shows the differences in frame size and resolution. 35mm film is still the most popular choice of feature films. Thinking about size and weight differences from IMAX format, 35mm is smaller and lighter, but it's still heavy and expensive compared to smaller formats and digital. 16mm, choice of independent filmmakers on a limited budget. Spike Lee shot his first feature film, She's Gotta Have It, on 16mm. The small light cameras enable movement and shooting without heavy equipment. While less expensive than IMAX or 35mm, 16mm lacks the quality and resolution of larger formats. Super 8. Before VHS and digital video cameras, Super 8 format was used for home movies. It was never designed for theatrical releases. The small light camera allows for movement and handheld photography. While this is not still in wide use, it's still used in music videos and avant-garde style films. Digital format. Pros. Less light sensitive than film, smaller, lighter, and faster than most formats of films. Cons. Affordable digital format. Lacks film's resolution and doesn't have the same look as film. The documentary Side by Side compares and contrasts the differences between photochemical film and digital filmmaking. Students are encouraged to watch this illuminating film. The lens choice is a very important part of the cinematographer's job. We'll cover 3 types of lenses: a normal lens, wide-angle lens, and telephoto lens. Chapter 1 covers this in greater detail. 50mm normal lens property. Produces a minimum amount of distortion, how the human eye would perceive a scene, often used in the style of realism and documentary filmmaking. Deep depth of field lens properties. Deep depth of field preserves sharpness in all distances of the frame. Wider field of view, more peripheral information. Creates a 3-dimensional look. Exaggerates the distances between objects and subjects within the frame. Movement towards or away from the camera is exaggerated. Here's an example of a wide-angle lens composition on the left and a telephoto lens composition on the right. With the deep depth of field, we can count back considerably into the frame. Many crayons are clear, sharp, and in focus. Compared to the telephoto composition, where only 2 crayons are clear, sharp, and in focus. This still from Citizen Kane shows us what a deep depth of field and deep focus photography can do. Important information is visible in the foreground, middle ground, and background. Telephoto lens properties. Shallow depth of field. Sharpness in only one plane of focus. Flattens the image, more 2-dimensional. Movement towards or away from the camera is less apparent. Narrower field of view, less peripheral information. The telephoto lens helps isolate important subjects within the frame. The shallow depth of field creates a single plane of focus. In the still from Jackie Brown, the location is unknown due to the shallow focus. In the still from the Aviator, the eye is drawn to the subjects in the center of the frame in the middle ground. Compare and contrast the differences. In each image, the woman is standing in the same place. Notice how the wide angle and telephoto lenses impact the image. Let's compare the differences between the wide angle and telephoto composition. The wide angle still creates a deep depth of field. It places the characters in an environment. The telephoto composition creates a shallow depth of field. It places an emphasis on the subject, establishing his power. Camera angle, relationship between the subject and the viewer. It's named for the position of the camera. Low angle shot, emphasizes a character's power or superiority, may appear threatening. Dominance, the low angle composition helps to establish his dominance. Leatherface is clearly a scary guy. Authority and control. Shaft is a good guy. His control and authority are established through this low angle composition. High angle shot. Subject seems weak, powerless, perhaps depressed. Weakness. Antonio and his son Bruno look sad and vulnerable because of the high angle composition. Eye level shot. No visual superiority or inferiority, often a realist tendency. Bird's eye view, extreme high angle, somewhat disorienting, not the way we usually see things. Bird's eye view angles are often a formalist tendency, like the fantasy shot of Angela from American Beauty. Oblique or canted angle shot. Image appears less stable, off balance, might suggest a state of flux. Camera movement. Understanding Movies covers camera movement in Chapter 3. We'll cover conventional camera movements here. Be sure to view the supplemental playlist for camera movement videos. Pan. The camera is on a tripod and moves on its axis from left to right or right to left. It's a horizontal movement of the camera. It might follow the action in the scene. Tilt. The camera is on a tripod. Vertical movement of the camera tilting up and down. It's fluid and smooth. Dolly shot, filmed from a moving cart or vehicle. The camera movement is fluid and smooth. Tracking or trucking is also a common way to refer to a dolly shot that follows a subject. Crane shot, a dynamic camera movement, changes the position and angle of the camera. Crane shots allow the camera to move up, down, forward, and backward. Today we can use a drone to do a similar thing. Zoom shot. Position of the camera does not change. A zoom shot is created with the lens. Unlike the dolly and crane shots, the zoom movement changes the depth of field. Zoom shots can be jarring. Handheld shot. No stabilizing device. There is a noticeable shaking of the camera, often a realist tendency in documentary and fiction films. Say handheld shot instead of shaky camera. Aerial shot, called an establishing shot when it's the opening shot of a film. Helicopters are used for aerial movements traditionally, but new technologies like drone allow for greater mobility. Aerial shot provides a large amount of visual information, establishes the setting. Did you know The Shining begins with an establishing shot? Why not check it out? Rabbit-Proof Fence. This Australian film is directed by Philip Noyce. It was made in 2002. There are the names of some of the main characters. Choose one of these response questions to respond to. View the presentation in the Week 1 module to aid in the process of writing the response paper. How does the use of the wide-angle lens enhance the storytelling in Rabbit-Proof Fence? Or, how does camera movement enhance the storytelling in Rabbit-Proof Fence? Give specific examples from the film and use film grammar. To explore films featured in this lecture, view the PDF version on D2L and explore these films in detail. Until next time, have a productive week.